damn, bruv, believe it. When I landed in the wrong place, though, you get me, the wrong place.
Well, lads, he discovered a species hitherto unknown to science. He kicked his head in.
Yo, check it. More what? Them things.
Lovely fireworks.
Nah, mate, it's alien invasion.
Of course it is.
I'm killing them straight. Let's get tooled up, blood.
Quite sweet, really, aren't they?
That looks triple disaster. Right now, I feel like going home, locking my door, and playing FIFA.
What were those things?
I think you're probably alien.
What kind of alien would invade some council estate in South London?
One that's looking for a fight.
What is that?
Sorry about the driving. I'm getting lessons for Christmas.
Whoa! Got no credit. Got one text left. This is too much madness to explain in one text.
We have to call the police.
You'd be better off calling the Ghostbusters, love.
What's wrong with you, man? You got a tool. Jesus, he looks about 6. I'm 9.5.
I need to get off the streets. Back in the block.
Wait, this is safe. No. Good luck.
Come with us now, if you dare, down a rickety staircase into a dank, dark basement. What awaits? The Saturday Night Freak Show.
Welcome back once again to the world-renowned Saturday Night Freak Show podcast. Every Saturday, the Freak Show happens, a bunch of us get together, watch a movie, and then talk about it around a bar as we get exceedingly drunk. My name's Colin, and I'm surrounded by a bunch of internet radio superstars, including
Brent,
Tom, Sean,
Travis.
And tonight we watched, it was my pick, and the movie was Attack the Block from 2011, directed by a fellow named Joe Cornish.
Yeah, you know, like I haven't seen
Joe Cornish.
I haven't seen this movie before.
He goes right
this
for it.
This is my first time. But it's actually Attack the Block.
Attack the Block.
Get back on the block.
It's a block.
Yeah, the block.
It's a block.
So there's a lot of. So this is it's a movie from the UK, South London,
United.
and I mean, they make no bones about it. I mean, this is a thick accented movie.
As they would make in their own country.
Right.
Right.
One of those.
There was a story, I think, that I read that when they brought it to South by Southwest or something to see about an American release, where they were like, they played it to the crowd, then they were seriously considering putting subtitles on it. And they asked the audience, like, do you need subtitles? And everybody's like, no. So what'd you guys think?
I kind of would have liked subtitles, actually. I'm like, I was like, man.
I've always had that's why I've never watched the Bond movies. I've got a real problem with that. Hey,
but do you like
Bond's
as it
not,
goes
Bond's
on?
not like
Bond's
this.
not like that at all.
I think Bond is like that because I lose it in the first 10 minutes when they're talking about the fucking mission, like the plot of the movie. I lose it. They're just like, "Hey, Bond, hey, hero here." I'm like, "What?"
I
want to watch that Bond movie. I miss that one.
Right, Bond. But I remember the first time I watched this. Yeah, I was like, "What?"
Does it settle in eventually, or you're like, "Oh, okay."
The fact that there's 7 kids. All just like, yeah, bro, oh, he should, there's 7 of them all yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait,
starting
what?
it off, it's a little hard. It's just, you're kind of straining to be like, what? Huh?
But by the end of it, you get acclimated.
Yeah, you get it.
Which it sounds natural, That's what I like about it.
It doesn't sound scripted.
Natural. No, it sounds.
I just wonder if it's because we're not used to that, that slang.
Maybe.
Because it does sound like they're just talking.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, bruv?
Believe.
That's something that a lot of certain directors like to do on purpose, have people active talking.
Yeah, improv.
I don't know. I've always
we'll just over each other.
It's always been a little bit of a victory, like when I understand what they're saying and it's funny, you're like, I get it. I understood that and I got the joke, I
get that reference.
Snatch is a perfect example of the English. I mean, there's some movies that
where they have that like super British accent, like a lot of like Lock, Stock, and Smoking Barrels and Snatch, where they got that super British accent.
Yeah, but that's almost like that's showcasing the accent as like that's all the comedy, you know, like Brad Pitt's character in Snatch. That's just purely for the comedic aspect of it, you know. Where this is like realistic dialogue within an inner city London block.
Yeah, and the Tower Block, they call them. It's a housing project, basically.
And if I'm lucky enough to understand it, I get the joke, and it's like, like I said, it's a little victory. Like, yes,
it's Ron's weed room.
I get
it's a big room. It's full of weed, and it's Ron's.
They still out there.
It's impenetrable.
Good luck.
So yeah, it's a movie about a tower block in London. This is an economically depressed housing project that comes under attack from aliens from outer space. And the only people standing between us and the alien horde is a bunch of
punk-ass kids.
A bunch of punk-ass kids. Yeah, led by Moses, who's played by John Boyega. Who you may currently be seeing in 24, Live Fast or Die Young. What's it called? Die Another Day?
Live Another Day.
Live Another Day.
I saw a little bit of that, and he has a dead-on American accent.
Does he?
And I'm like, whoa.
That's how you get jobs in America.
He just got, didn't he just get cast in Star Wars, the new one?
In Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah, he just got cast in Episode 7.
So that's kind of why I wanted to show this, and I just...
Well, he's going to be a bad guy, right?
I don't know.
Right? That's where you get the bad guy's English accent.
I'll bet. Lando Calrissian.
You may fire when ready.
You may fire when ready.
You may fire when ready.
Yeah.
This movie, I always thought, like, this is like a modern day, like, I don't know, Ghostbusters or something. Like, the closest you can get
the end is like a
the end is like a fucking Ghostbusters. Yeah. The end gives me the same shivers as a Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
You know, the same, like, even though, like, I wouldn't even necessarily say I love this movie, because I kind of don't. I like the movie. I do. This is only my second time viewing it. I can't even say I'll see it that many more times, but I like the movie. But it does give you that, like, the ending. It's like the type of movie where I want to see, like, more of the... I just want to see more adventures. You know, like these kids could, like, get into everything. Like, swamp monsters and ghosts.
Yeah.
And, like, they can just be the English kids that, like... Just the idea...
They're the English... whatchamacallit?
Like the Goonies. They're like the English fucking Goonies.
Yeah, this movie is, like...
Scooby-Doo.
This movie, a lot is, like... To me, when I was watching it, I'm like, man, this is like the English version of the Goonies. Only these kids are really, really unlikable characters. Like, they are, like, really unlikable.
The English version, and the kids, like, there was a couple of scenes where they're riding their bikes around, where I got little bits of E.T. It's like the whole gang thing. Like, that came back to me. I'm like, oh, I like that.
They're fucking pricks.
Well, they're not inner city, you know, they're... You know.
Well, they have that whole scene where...
Well, they rob the main character lady at the beginning. They rob her.
They do. They rob the main character lady.
But they think she doesn't live on the block, so it's supposed to be like...
Not one of them.
Almost like a Robin Hood sort of idea that we can rob from people that aren't in the ghetto because somehow because we are in the ghetto. But you can tell, like, later on in the movie when Moses has his little speech about first they tried guns, that we're not killing each other fast enough. So you get the idea that, you know, these people are already, like, they've got their...
Well, even, because she gives, you know, I mean, they rob this woman at the beginning of the movie, and then later on, circumstances force them to come together. And at some point, she's like, we got to call the cops. And everybody there is like, you know, you can call the cops. They're not going to come out here. And if they do, they're going to arrest these guys who are here with you because... That's what they're going to do. These are the bad guys that you're hanging out with, you know, in the cop's eyes. Yeah. And we're looking at them as like, I mean, I guess that's the thing that is interesting about the movie. I mean, you're tracking the evolution of specifically Moses, but these other kids. I mean, they start off as like, you know, your first introduction of them is like through the third person. You're identifying with the lone woman walking down the street, and these thugs come out and rob her. And so they're like, you know, right there, you've got like, you know, these are bad kids. And
I never.
See, my wife had the same reaction. After that, she couldn't forgive them. Like,
I never forgive. I never forgive them. Even at the end, I'm still like, they're just fucking pricks.
Well, but I think they're products of their environment. They're living, like, there's a reason why it's called Attack the Block. They're living on this, you know, this low income housing project place, where like they don't have, you know, the reason why the cops are going to arrest them, they don't have the certain I guess options, you know, like they don't have the benefits of
they don't have like a social standing that's like, if you, I mean, like those type of kids don't, you know, whenever cops come around, they're the troublemakers.
Yeah,
you know,
that's all they know. But then there's that scene with the woman later on in her apartment building where they're like, we were just as scared as you were in it.
It's just like, that whole idea of like, you gotta, I mean, this is what every kind of like gangster rap, all this shit, it's always about you do what you do to get out of the ghetto, and then, you know, whatever. And so Moses, they sell drugs, or they at least do small time drugs for this
Hi-hat?
Hi-hat?
Was it hi-hat?
I think it was hi-hat.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I liked about that, too, because, you know, Moses is like the heavy, basically, at the beginning of the movie. It's like, this is the bad guy.
He's
but
the
then it's
real...
like he answers to a worse guy. Like, Hi-hat is like the actual, I think, villain of the movie.
Yeah, because he kind of has that whole, he tells the kid that it's my blood. You know, I'm gonna bring you in heavier, you know, giving him like better drugs to sell. I think heroin, it looked like. Something like that. They didn't necessarily say. But yeah, just so it gives you the idea that it's like, okay, yeah, they're shitty because they're robbing, but it's also just that idea that, like, they're just trying to do whatever. They're trying to do anything to get money to whatever. It's not like a good thing. It's not like a right thing. It's just what they're trying to do. It's like learned helplessness, you know?
And they show it.
Oh, the only way to do it is by selling drugs. The only way to do it is by robbing.
Yeah, and even, I mean, it's brought up in them. Like the 8-year-olds, there's two, I'm guessing.
Mayhem and Props.
They were like 6 or so. Oh, no, 9.5. That one, Mayhem.
They're hilarious little kids.
And Props. Yeah, that was funny. They were kind of like the predecessors. Yeah. Like who these kids were.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess would be 5 years ago. Moses said he was 15, so you imagine everybody else is around that same age.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, but I like the fact that it charts. I mean, you know, so the movie starts off with him as like this, you know, this threatening character, and then breaks that down over the course of the film, where, you know, you have those. There's like those little moral interludes where like the girl that he's dating, you know, is like, what, you robbed this woman? You know, you get the idea that even within their circle, this is unacceptable behavior. Yes. It's like the whole theme of the movie, I think, is that consequences have actions. It turns out that, you know, he's got this alien blood on him that he can't see, and that's why the aliens are chasing him. So that's like the literal version of the theme, right? That's basically because of you did this. You know, these things are coming after you. You're right, right.
Because you robbed a lady and then you viciously attacked and killed this alien because you hunted it as sport, because revenge, because it scratched you. I mean, like I didn't like the movie.
No but wait, shit. Did you get the idea that he had changed his position by the end of the movie? That he actually had learned a lesson?
I did. The problem is the whole movie, like, I didn't care about a single one of those motherfuckers. Even the girl. She was kind of like... Because even the girl that they robbed, you know, she's like, no, you guys robbed me, so there's no way I'm going to help you.
That's where you would be, so right?
It's like, yeah, right.
These guys robbed you.
It's like, I don't fucking care about any of you. So when the monsters are attacking you, I'm like, good, fucking kill them all. I don't give a fuck.
But they have that scene where she goes into, what's his name? Moses's apartment, and goes into his room, and she's like, do you have a younger brother? And he's like, no, it's just me. Yeah. She doesn't realize that how young he is.
Yeah, because she sees like he's got a Spider-Man like bed cover, and like, you know, it's like, whoa, how old are you?
Yeah, so you're dealing with this young, scared kid that doesn't have any idea. He's not an adult. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just scared, and he's somehow the leader of.
But by that point in the movie, I've already like emotionally checked out and crossed these characters off.
But you're missing the ride.
Because to me, the importance of these characters, like to me, the scene where I fall in love with these guys is when, like these cops try to arrest them. They crash the cop car into the drug dealer, that hi-hat guy or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And as soon as that hi-hat guy, you know, they're trying to explain to them, whatever, that there's aliens and whatever, and the dude just kind of thinks that, you know, what, you're bringing the cops around here. So as soon as he pulls his gun, all the kids fucking put out their weapons, you know.
To defend Moses.
Yeah, so like no matter what, I mean, I think that's where this just like Goonies, I think that's where these characters have that camaraderie. They have that, like, they are bound together. They are this fucking, like, clique. They are this, like, these guys love each other, you know? They're not just friends. They're not just whatever. These guys are like brothers, you know? Mm-hmm. And I like how this movie, it doesn't even need to, fucking explain how they meet. It doesn't need to over-explain. These fucking guys care for each other because they live in this bad environment, you know, whatever the hell.
Yeah, you get the impression that they have history. I think that's also, it's helped out by the fact that, I mean, like, this movie does a pretty good job of, like, character building very quickly. It sketches stuff in and you're like, oh, I know who that person is. I know who that person is. It helps. There's a scene where they all go back to the block and, you know, because they see that more aliens are coming and they're like, you know, we got to get weapons. So each one of them goes back to their apartment where you get to meet their parents. You see what their domestic life is like. Yeah. The shit that they're telling their guardian. You know, it's like, I'm playing football, you know, but I got to get my chain for, you know, whatever. Yeah. The rockets out of this under the sink and all this stuff.
I agree. I saw all that. I see the fact that they're friends, right? They are a bonded unit, much like Goonies. Mm-hmm. It's like they're Goonies, but they're a bunch of punk ass fucking teenagers.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're fucking criminals.
They're not.
They're anti-heroes. They're not really likable. Yeah, they're a group. They're friends with each other, but.
Where Goonies were the misfits, they are
the hoodlums.
But yeah, I mean, but that's fine because
it's a modern day misfit. It's just where you go,
right?
You know, we live in a still darker, stupid fucking world now where. You know, movies are only movies if they show, like, you know.
But they're so charming because it's British.
Well, I just like Moses as like that strong, silent type of hero character. Like, he's not.
He's the Snake Plissken. I mean, that was what I was thinking. It's like, you know, did you hate Snake Plissken? Because that's an amoral character. Like, he's a criminal. He's a bank robber, out for himself and all this.
He's just in a situation. It's how he gets out of the situation, how he deals with other people. It's like him, don't like him. That's not even really the, you know, which is the anti-hero, the Clint Eastwood. It's all about how the characters playing the other characters in the situation.
I mean, what this film has going for it is it has, like, the same as, like, the Independence Day speech. You know, it's like...
Does it?
What?
Really?
Where? Well, because it's with Moses, where he's like, I did this. It's my fault that they're here. I brought the
that ain't no Independence Day speech, man. That is not Independence Day speech.
I'm almost in the same house.
That's not what I'm saying.
Here.
Oh, sorry.
That's not it. That's a good point. I mean, I think that's also a good... yeah. But the part that I'm talking about is when they team up with the lady... And, you know, she's still like, yeah, so it's okay to rob me, or, you know, it's if I wasn't from the block, it's okay to rob me. He's like, look, there's aliens attacking us now. It doesn't matter. That's the new big baddie out there. We're humans. So we have to, you know, get together and fight the bad guy.
That's what I like. Like, all the kids were kind of like, what's your problem, lady? Like, it is funny how, like, they rob her, but then they're like, there's a bigger issue at hand here. Yeah. Why are you still thinking about that?
Yeah, we only robbed you 2 hours ago. And you're still acting like punk ass kids.
Exactly.
But I think you can say, Sean.
Well, I said I'm maybe not quite as aggressively in your corner, but I'm kind of with Tom on this. It's weird. They're not.
They're like Blues Brothers were criminals.
Yeah, but I don't know. There was more redeeming qualities of the other characters you've mentioned than Moses right off the bat. Like, he didn't. His turn, it doesn't fully work for me. I don't think. Like, I don't feel there. I had no.
The block.
I have no. But yeah, but I hadn't. It didn't. There was no emotional. Like, emotionally, I don't think I was there with it. It didn't. I didn't feel that there was a big enough. I don't think the change was big enough with the character.
I don't think he. But
it was accepting responsibility, right?
Yeah,
well, but he accepts responsibility for this in a way that's like, this is my fault. I wish I hadn't have done this. I wish I hadn't, I wish I didn't rob that woman. Yeah. I wish I didn't kill that creature. It's like all of his
I didn't get enough remorse out of him for having done that stuff. I didn't get, I don't feel like, he does own up to it in the movie, but I didn't feel
the type. I don't know what type of speech he's supposed to have.
I don't know either. Like, I can't sit here and say specifically what he would have done to make it better, but it doesn't pay off.
As it should.
Like, if you imagine a sequel to this movie, I would think the kids would still be the fucking same punk ass kids that are robbing.
But they're not.
They're not.
They're
no, I think 3 of their friends die. They fucking.
These are scared adolescents. They're,
but like they're still fucking like I mean like any movie that usually I mean. You know, when you show kids smoking pot and stuff like that in the movie, it's usually it's a bad quality.
Just the phrase alone, punk ass kid, is bullshit. I'm sorry, Tom, because they're kids. Like they don't know. You know, I mean,
the kids are assholes.
Yeah, but
I mean,
they're fucking smoking pot. They're doing drugs. Hey. They're dealing drugs.
When I was
robbing people,
this is what real kids do, though.
When I was 15,
these are real kids.
I had no idea what I was doing. You know, I mean, like when I look back at when I was 15, like I don't know a thing. I don't know a thing now. You know, I mean, like I think that when you're that age, you think you're indestructible, and maybe you behave like what you would label as a punk. But I mean, really, when you get right down to it, these are just kids that are scared and they're in a shitty situation.
But that's the point.
Kill that woman.
But that's the point of showing
they're gonna murk her.
How Hi-Hat. That's the whole point of showing how Hi-Hat, who's the main drug dealer. It shows the culture that they live in, where he's in his weed room. He's like, listen to the new rap song I just produced. It's like, kill that snitch, kill that blah, blah, blah. And it's just that bullshit. And it's showing how they're just like feeding their own bullshit. That's why I almost don't even like Moses's like comment about how first they brought in the drugs, they brought in the guns. Because really what the movie is showing is like, no, it's you guys, or you're building up your own like fantasy world of you sell drugs, you kill the people you need to kill, you live high on the hog, you blah, blah, blah. So it shows how even though he's actually living that world, he's still listening to his own music, having like this fantasy world of like blah, 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 like killing shit. So I think that's what these kids live in. These kids, even though these kids, they don't show necessarily how ignorant these kids are in that same aspect, still, this is the world they live in, where you live in the fucking ghetto, you listen to rap music, fucking ghetto star shit. Yeah. You think that's the only way you're living. You think that's the only way out. You think that is, you know...
Until the aliens invade, and then you end up, like, you know, partnered up with people that you wouldn't, you know... Because that's, I guess, the thing, is throwing these two worlds together. I want to keep calling her Penny, but it's Sam, the nurse, right? Because she's, like...
They're white.
A working class.
The two white people. There's the white guy, the skinny white guy that was there to buy weed,
and the guy with the hood in the gang. There's
there was a couple. I mean, because it's England, not everybody like you know, blacks and whites. They work together. They don't have
just in England, just because
they don't have a race problem like we do.
Yeah,
right?
You don't think they do? I don't know about that.
But I guess that's the thing, when you throw those two worlds together, you know, it's like that's how they're learning. You know, these experiences are teaching, that are informing their future. I guess the things that are happening to them now.
Yeah, because he thought she was a white chick. She doesn't live in the block.
Yeah,
she's white. Yeah. She's got some other high-end bullshit or whatever.
But it turns out she's one of their neighbors.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, too, that, like, you know, the other journey through the movie is hers, where she starts out, you know, she's robbed by them. She calls the police. She's hunting them down. Even when they, like, save her life, you know, when the aliens attack the police car, she's like, they're like, well, we saved your life. And she's like, oh, you know, you're my fucking hero. And she runs away, you know. Yeah. And then there's still, like, you know, circumstances keep putting them together. But she learns, I think, you know, in seeing the humanity behind them, which is, you know, like seeing that the kid is like 15 years old, that he is, you know, he has some amount of courage. As far as he's the one who like runs, you know, with his samurai sword, and, right. You know, in against the alien monsters. You know, it's like by the end of it, she actually ends up defending them. At the end, when the cops finally do show up, she says, you know, they're like, are these the ones who attacked you? And she's like, no, these are my neighbors. They were protecting me. I mean, there's like, so both of those characters who meet in that first scene do, you know, go on this,
they learn from each other.
Yeah.
But, okay. So I think we should probably move on from the character aspect and focus on the sci-fi.
Well, wait, no, aspect. I want to. Nope. One further thing is just that well, at least you know, I don't think that we're not asked to condone these characters' behavior, because, and even the movie, I think, sides with you Tom, at the end of it, this is like one of the only movies I can think of in recent history of that type of film where like our heroes go to jail at the end, right? They're still going to jail because of the stuff that they've done. The consequences still lead them to jail. Yeah, the crowd's chanting for Moses and all that, but like he's still, because he's a punk and because he mugged this woman or whatever, he's still in the paddy wagon at the end.
You have to believe that like she's gonna not press charges.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's really the only thing that they're guilty of is mugging her.
Blowing up the apartment.
Yeah,
something happened in the block. But because she made that report,
but they're not guilty of it.
But hold on. Just because she made the report with their whatever, that anything that happened that night is going to be blamed on them.
Well, that, and I mean, plus, as far as we know, the cops know nothing about the aliens.
Right.
So when Moses comes out of the elevator, he's standing in front of a bunch of dead bodies holding a samurai sword.
He's holding a samurai.
As far as anybody's concerned in this movie, he killed all those people.
Yeah.
There's still that. I mean, there's a lot of shit behind that.
Probably does not have a happy end.
No. But I would have rather
See, that's why I do love the heroic ending, because I mean, just like any old actual like story of heroes is not about winning the day or whatever. It's just about going up against insurmountable odds, right? And when you got a kid that fucking kills off all these aliens that save this block, they're gonna be like singing his fucking praise and name for like years to come, how Moses stopped the alien invasion and shit like that. That's just an awesome idea to me.
That's what's gonna live on. That's the legend of the film. But I mean, even when the forensics team comes in and finds all this alien DNA, don't you think that they're gonna be like, maybe it wasn't these kids, maybe it was these guys with the giant blue teeth?
Well, hold on a second.
The black fur.
Something I noticed this time that I didn't notice the first time I saw it, and just like the way Moses said that first the government sent in drugs, they sent in guns. Like, in the very beginning, what is that case? There's like a encasing that they come in, and it actually has like a picture of the monster on it.
I think
that's fucking weird. Like, I didn't get that the first time.
Is that a meter? Is that showing the monster, the alien inside? Like, kind of.
No, because the monster, they walk up to the fire.
Well, I mean, I see it as translucent. They were seeing something inside. That's what I took it as.
Yeah, it was like some
it's still
kind of
in there.
Shell. I can't remember. Because it attacked him in the car. It was in the car.
No. This is after they already go to the apartment and they see it land and they're like, well, let's go to the park and kill the other alien.
The first one they find.
They just find it's like a fire. It looks like where the meteor hit and it looks like some debris or whatever. And they're trying to like
popped open like shell or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And they're looking at the shell and they can see it looks like there's sort of like a monster drawing on the shell because the alien is way up in some park and that's when the dog runs up to it.
Well, I don't think that's the only one.
It's not like a 4 foot tall thing. It's a giant.
I took it as that one hadn't come out yet. I mean, there's other ones where the one in the park that's on the thing. I take it as like that's the one that hadn't come out yet.
No,
but there is no other one.
It's more like
it's just an empty. Yeah, it's the empty like meteor.
Why the hell would it have the thing on it?
Because
I don't know. That's why I was. That's why
it's like a shell.
That's why I was wondering.
Why does it have the monster?
Yeah,
I thought that was like where it was. I don't know. I thought it was like it was the indentation of it.
I like that.
And then it cracked, and then you can see half of it over here and half of it over here. But the actual thing's like
I'll go with that.
I like that.
I'll have to see it again.
That's why the kids said,
like a.
These things aren't 2 feet tall. These things are just because they were it was to show you that the monsters are really big.
Yeah, because originally the first thing that lands is this little tiny monster that they chase down and kill it. Which that I don't see
the whole thing. I don't get that at all. So what? The female they just launch it down until it hits something and dies, and then they go out. That makes no sense.
Well, that's a hypothesis from the science.
Right?
Nerd.
Who knows if that's true?
Just it explains.
But you're supposed to assume it is since he's the 1950s line. Whoa,
he's the bug expert.
Yeah, but I like the fact that I shouldn't say I like it. It's interesting to me, but probably super cynical and reprehensible that like an alien lands in South London, and the first instinct of these kids is like, let's kill it.
Well, it was like
those are fucking punk ass violent kids.
They did get attacked first.
Yeah,
it wasn't like it's there, let's just kill it.
Yeah.
They did get attacked, and they decided to seek revenge on it. I mean, they have their quote unquote reasoning for going after it. But it wasn't just like, oh, it's alive, let's just kill it. It exists. I don't want it here anymore.
See,
They had a reason.
yeah, because Tom, you can't keep saying that without like backing it up, because that's the problem. That's what this movie's trying to point out. That so many people are just saying these are punk ass kids, and they're not. You know, I mean,
no, honestly, I'm not even saying that.
Tom,
might be
I'm not saying
kids.
that.
No, but they might be punk ass kids. They're raised in that environment where being a punk ass kid is the way you survive. So that's what they are. You're not supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to like these people.
They mugged the lady. Therefore, they're punk ass fucking kids.
But that's what the cops are. The cops are never going to give them a chance. I mean, like,
they are punk ass kids. They did rob a lady. They just thought she was richer than they were. Don't try to demonize them. See, that's actually we're actually gonna have to get into like this is like oh my god, this is actually like the social like impact of liberalism and the whole idea that like, but what happened to them? Why are they bad
what
people?
Happened to their child?
No, they're bad people. That's all you gotta know is they are bad people.
They are bad.
But no matter how they got there or why they got there, their actions. That's exactly what Colin was saying about the movies, about someone's actions and the repercussions of. They are dickheads, therefore repercussions are alien invasion.
But like the whole movie, the point of the movie is showing that they're not dickheads. They're not.
No. It's not that they're not. It's that if they do, that they change, or there is
it's just like
a changing of it.
Well, the biggest dickhead has a best friend. You know what I mean? Like the biggest assholes in the world have best friends.
Yeah, but if
gangsters have friends that they won't shoot and rob.
Even if they're kids, I mean, they're still responsible for the heinousness that they're perpetuating on these people.
You just see a lighter side of them because they realize, oh shit, you're from the block? Well, then you're kind of one of us. So we're letting down our big offensive gangster thing, and we're letting you see us as who we are.
I believe that
everyone circle around and stare, Brent.
There's just two people.
Well, okay, but I believe that the first living thing that Moses ever killed was that alien.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
I mean, we're not talking about murderers and
was he working up
killers.
To it though? I mean,
we're talking about 15.
Because you think hi-hats killed people before?
We're talking about We're talking about 15-year-olds with Spider-Man sheets. You know,
but eventually,
they're on the road to that though.
Because they don't have a choice. Because
because they're taught that through rap fucking music and through bullshit, not through living.
And people just saying that they're punk ass kids. Like, you're never going to get out of it.
I had Spider-Man covers. You think I never killed anybody?
If that's what you are, you have to be called that. See, that's what I don't find. That's what's not right about your argument. Is just because you have a chance to get out doesn't make you not a fucking dickhead. No, you could be a dickhead and then realize you need to change, and then you change. It doesn't mean you weren't a dickhead all those times.
I believe that you can be a dickhead, but the fact that how the outside people see you as a punk-ass kid...
But if you're a dickhead, how are they not going to see you as a punk-ass kid? That's where you're kind of... That's a self-perpetuating...
Yeah, it's the chicken and the egg. I mean,
but that's why you can't make excuses for these characters. They are dickheads.
Well, I can because...
They just happen to find out this lady is part of their neighborhood, so they let down their thing, and they treat her...
Well, I mean, I can make an excuse for Moses because, I mean, he sacrificed himself against the aliens to, save everyone else that's stuck in this room. He really didn't have to do that.
But that's because he brought shit upon the block. Nothing else. He didn't care about the world's attacking by alien. It's, my neighborhood, my neighbors are going to be attacked by aliens, so I need to do something about
because then he's responsible.
Still very territorial.
He's responsible for... I mean, because he's saying he's accepting responsibility for bringing the thing there, then he's responsible for his friend's deaths. Right. I think that's what he's seeing in that moment. It's like, they wouldn't have died if I hadn't have done this.
Yeah.
Still dickheads.
But wait, what was your point?
I was just trying to say they're not dickheads, but they are.
No, I'm saying that they're not being given a chance by just being called punk-ass kids because they're never going to be able to grow out of that, But
that's what the movie is, right? I mean, the movie's showing that they are kind of well, hopefully, this is the step to growing out of that.
Hopefully, listeners, I said this like 5 minutes ago. That's my point. That's what the movie's all about. So, and I'm not calling just you out on it, Tom, but Tom, you keep calling them punk-ass kids, and that's the movie is showing you that, I mean, that's what everybody's doing to these, lower income, no opportunity kids, and they can't get out of it. I mean, maybe you just want to call it liberal, whatever, but that's how I feel. Like, that's why they're stuck in this situation. It's like when kids, like you hear stories about kids robbing or shoplifting because the clerk is eyeballing them, thinking that they're going
play
to
with some flowers, you hippie.
So they're, so I mean, if they think that, if they think that I'm already a punk ass kid, then what's the point of trying to prove them wrong? I'm already
well, that's actually how this is like a big thing.
It is, but I think that's part of the point of the film. So
I think we need to talk about sci-fi.
Not really, because this is talking about. Because this movie doesn't tell you that at the end of the movie they're going to be better people. It doesn't.
No, they're going to jail for a long fucking time.
Who says Moses doesn't get out of jail and take his legend that he's built up to, just turn it into his thing?
I think he learned his lesson.
I don't think he learned his lesson. I didn't feel it.
That's cynical.
I watched that movie. I didn't feel that character's redemption. Sean,
I don't know. I felt that I felt that there was a redemption to it. I guess
it's a personal redemption.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a good person to everyone. It's his own personal redemption.
Yeah,
it's
but that's the building block, I think, for that, because it's like. It's like he went through this. This is like, if I guess you'd pointed out that the two little kids are basically like this. Our current group of kids, the teenagers that we're following, that's them. That's probably where they came from. They were those little kids, and they grew up in this.
They're emulating the big
and Hi-Hat is where they're going. That's where they end up, and probably death eventually.
Yeah.
But because this experience happened to them, this has changed the course of that. That's the way I felt about it. Yep. It's like after that, they have seen and experienced something that's maybe going to change something in the way that they view the world and view the people around them, and
very well.
I can see what you're saying about people not giving them a chance, blah, because that's the point of the cops and the girl, blah, 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 blah. But in real world situations, I don't think it's that cut and dry.
Well, in real world situations, the kids would never get out of that, and then they would become Hi-Hat. I mean, that's the sad truth of it. But
I think in real world,
way to bring us down.
In this movie, I think Moses going to jail for the rest of his life for the murder of all those people and blowing up the building.
Well, again,
that's an injustice then, right? Because he didn't murder all those people.
I know it's an injustice, but it's like, did you murder all these people, or did aliens murder all these people?
Well, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Seriously,
that's kind of cool when aliens attack and then everything around it
just all
is gone. So it's like, okay, it's you.
I think their lawyer would have a pretty strong defense the fact that there's aliens.
Yeah,
but they blew them up.
They blew them up. Who says they blew up?
Well, you can blow. They didn't disintegrate it. I mean, they're still. They used fireworks.
There's these rockets landed all over London.
So you're telling me there's no DNA?
No, that's what I'm saying. There probably is. There's pieces
well, probably be covered up or whatever. Because it's better to let little black kids go to jail and keep
it's easier.
quiet.
It's easier to reach that than to go with aliens, despite what little proof they'll have left over. I mean, some meteors crash down, and there's.
So you're actually bumming me out. You're saying that basically the end of this movie ends on a high note of like Moses. As soon as the credits are over. This doesn't end very well.
Because everything is...
that kid's going to jail. He's going to jail for murder. That kid's got a needle in his arm right now.
That's what I say. Everything is just like personal. It's not about like... The big picture is not a happy, go-lucky story.
Right. This is true.
Story of redemption. There's none of that shit. There's really just like... I feel bad that I hurt the people that I thought I was, whatever. And
what about the elevator? There's at least one dead alien in that elevator.
The government will cover it up.
They'll cover it up.
Listen to the cynicism.
It's an animal they've never seen before.
In the movie, though.
Cover it up.
The government gave them drugs.
It's an animal they've never seen before.
Well, yeah, but that's just like, they're packing these guys at that point. Because the aliens actually did come from space.
It's still a perception of the movie. So I would still have to assume that the white government comes in and fucking covers it all up.
Covers it up and blames the black
kids. Blames little black boys.
Yeah, that's how this movie
I think this is I think it's a story as far as the alien factor in this. I think that has a beginning and an end in that story.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that.
The story, we have the beginning of Moses and the end of Moses, and in between that is the alien thing. But I think it only exists in between that, and then once we get to the end with Moses, I think that alien part is done as far as his future is concerned.
He saved the black. That's
he
all
did.
You need to know.
He did, and that's what they're saying. And that's what the filmmakers are saying. Like, despite what we're saying, despite that alien story kind of being encompassed in that, he saved the block.
Yeah.
But I think, yes. And the cynical part, I think that story ends within that. And
it does. He has a hard life after that.
Probably.
As soon as this podcast is over, I'm getting a plane ticket to London. I'm going to help inner city kids.
Flyers.
What are you going to do?
Free Moses.
Free Moses.
Not Moses.
Let my people go.
I'm going to help the inner city children.
What's wrong with Chicago? What's wrong with, why do you got to go to London?
You gotta help out.
It's actually funny that is a point made in the movie where the nurse's boyfriend is like, I love that scene though, where that kid is like, so you got a boyfriend? You're pretty, what does he say? You're pretty
well fit.
He's like 15 hitting on her. And she says her boyfriend, is in Ghana because he volunteers, helping kids. He's like, what? London kids aren't good enough for him. And you're like looking at these like economically depressed like kids right there. He's bleeding all over.
But the reason he said that is why you help kids in like pieces of shit countries, because they really appreciate everything you do for them. They don't expect it.
Yeah.
They don't expect being taken care of. They're just happy that you did.
I like the dynamics between all the people and that's what I really like about this movie is like all these people, they don't feel like types. Mm-mm. They do feel like, I mean, even like the drug dealer,
well, like
has got something.
He looked a little nerdier, but he wasn't a nerd. They didn't do anything about him that was a nerd.
Yeah, and the girls, I thought, and you were talking about like there's a relationship between Moses and like
a girl
one of these
Tia.
girls.
Her name's Tia.
I love when he brings the because this is another like funny thing about the movie. After they kill the initial alien, they're carrying around with them.
It's like a backpack.
They're like, oh, that looks like an awesome puppet. Did you make that? And she's like, so this thing fell from space, and you killed it. And he's like, yep. And the way she looks at him is like that. It's the demon saying, like, I totally want you. Even though she says it in a way it's like,
she's like,
it's reprehensible. Yeah, but she looks at him with like she's giving him the eyes right there.
Oh, I never. Really?
Okay.
Oh,
it's just me.
No,
she gave him the eyes.
I thought
she's upset that the only thing he knows had like, it came down and the first thing you did was kill it.
Yeah, that's what I got.
She's disappointed in him.
She was impressed that like,
she's disappointed in him.
Watch it again.
No, she's disappointed. Disappointed in him.
Because that's
got
her.
3 disappointments.
It's the same thing. It's the same reaction she has when she finds out he pulled a knife on her.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
It's the exact same reaction.
No, it's the same. It's disappointment.
We're gonna watch it again.
All right.
Well, pull it
again.
Like I saw her character as like a big sister type, so I got to side with these guys. I'm sorry, Colin.
Sister, they were lovers.
I didn't really get
there's
that.
There's a reason they're not lovers anymore, and it's because she keeps disappointed. She's disappointed in how he acts and what he does. This is just another thing added on top of that.
They're the only 2 serious people. Everybody else is like, blah, 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 blah. Everybody else is like talking like with fucking chickens with their head cut off, except for Moses and Tia. They're the only 2 quiet people that just kind of like calmly like, whatever, like, so what you ought to do.
Yeah.
I got a question that had been bothering me from this movie.
Just one.
Did the monsters, were they CGI or were they actual, like, because they look like they were actually just like dudes in suits?
I thought they were probably green.
They are
furry suits,
puppets.
Right?
They were a combination of puppets, guys in furry suits, but what they did with the CGI is they just took all the color out of them. Right. It's awesome because they're black, furry creatures, but they've done something to them to actually like make them negative black.
Right.
I mean,
no matter what light they're in, they are that black.
They are just black. It's a really cool. I mean, I really do like the creature design in this movie. It's one of those things where you're like, huh. Who would have thought aliens would be big furry?
I'm iffy on it.
Right? Yeah, because all you see are the blue jaws.
That's my problem with that. The glow-in-the-dark jaw.
I love
it's cool, too, because like when you first see it, you think it's their eyes, and then it's like, no, it's their mouth.
My iffiness, this starts my levels of iffiness. My iffiness, I am also iffy with the monsters, but I'm also iffy with how I'm supposed to kind of take the movie. Like, I don't know how serious to take it, how...
Is it a comedy?
Is it horror? Is it more comedic?
Yeah.
Because I'm not. Is it supposed to be more serious than I'm supposed to be taking it?
It's Ghostbusters.
Because in certain areas it feels like I should be taking it more seriously, but then elements come back and.
I know what you're talking about. It's because like they're dealing with, this feels so uncomfortably. close to home. I mean, you're hearing about like muggings and stuff all the time. These are inner city youth, and it's kind of this like, you know, they're nowhere close to my home. But go ahead. They're kind of like, well, they're kind of like morally reprehensible, and then
we're talking about the monsters,
movie,
though, right?
Yeah, well, we're talking about the whole kind of we're talking how they blend together, in which.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were talking about the tone of the movie because the tone of the movie. The tone of the movie. It's supposed to be, I think, a light comedy, action adventure run.
Well, see, but there seems like I get,
but it's heavy because of the.
Well, see, that's what I think. I think because it's lighter. That's where my not getting the emotional needs from Moses. Like none of the emotion pays off for his change. I know.
You have emotional.
I have emotional needs with this movie that were not met.
That's crazy.
But it like his change like.
It's drama.
It's
drama in the middle of a
Sean,
comedy.
Are you thinking something like this is the end, where like you have these high stakes like this, but the characters are obviously, you know, it's supposed to be a comedic situation?
Yes, like although I think this is the end is a tad more cartoony, and I can go with that. This it seems I get parts where it feels like it should be taken more seriously, but then again they're fighting aliens with big giant glowing jaws.
Well, if this was done in the 80s, I guess, because I was trying to make the Ghostbusters comparison again or something, it's like Bill Murray's character is clearly not taking anything seriously around him. Moses takes everything seriously around him, so that changes the way that, I guess, since he's one of your entry points into the movie, that's like colors the way that you see it, because everything that's happening is a fantastical.
Yeah, you got Nick Frost. I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
right there. That tells you the tone of the movie. Nick Frost is the drug dealer.
But that's what's throwing me off. I'm like, oh, Nick Frost. I'm looking more towards comedy, especially since he shows up.
I think they got it. It's just his British comedy. All those kids, they're doing. You can tell they're jokes that are just falling. Just because I don't know. British,
but that's fine.
I like British comedy, but for some reason it wasn't that funny.
And I'd love to go with that. Like I'd love that to just take me away and go with that part of the movie. But then to me, Moses' emotional change. Like at one point he turns around and he's crying. A single tear rolls down his cheek. I don't like. I'm not.
I like that because they explain that
but I'm not with him on that.
I wasn't
like that.
I was kind of like, yay. I
can see all the beats, but if there's supposed to be some sort of emotional,
because it was all about how she's telling him in that scene. I mean, she is telling Moses like basically how he thinks of his own life, that everything's coming after you. I mean, this is how inner city kids feel, right?
Right.
It's all coming after you. Everything's coming, blah, blah. And that's just that stress that gets to him. He's got his little fucking single tear.
And his friend is lying there with his
head none of the deaths, like, if they're supposed to, maybe maybe they're not, if they're...
they're
I'm
fun.
I'm with him. But I'm confused as whether they're supposed to carry any emotional weight, and that throws me off.
Emotional weight?
They didn't have any emotional weight.
Let me...
This is not an art film.
No, but
this is an alien invasion movie.
It doesn't have. You can still have emotional weight in an alien invasion movie.
But
I think it was actually
about it.
No, I think
there
it was
is
intended.
no emotional. It was fun death scenes.
No, I think it was intended. The way
but it's not fun.
It's fun death scenes for us to watch. Like, oh, look at that! The thing went through his head.
The guy with his nose got ripped off.
But you wanted that guy to die because he was the villain.
But it was funny. That was purely a comical moment in someone's death.
I think so. But the guy getting his head taken off through the helmet, I don't think that was supposed to read as funny. It's cool to watch.
It's cool to watch, but the Gorn effects tell me something different from what. Like the Gorn effects also throw me off in this.
Well, see, I mean, because I was kind of there with you as far as like that's what I'm watching the movie for. It's like not the whole reason, but I'm watching it like how do the characters react to the fact that their friends are dying?
Right.
It's like
you watch
not
that.
like because of the fact that they're dealing with so much in a compressed period of time. Yeah,
right.
I'm
and
forgiving
I know
this.
Right.
It's going to
hit them later
because that's what movies do. But movies stop and cry for 10 minutes. While the monster's actually still lurking around.
But there are like they got Jerome, man. They got Jerome. It's like you still feel that they're suffering.
Like Platoon,
but they don't have enough time for it to actually set in because they have to combat. Yeah, they have to combat these monsters. I like the fact that in that moment, that's where you get to see our hero. Moses, I'm doing air quotes on his name where I should have been doing it on hero. Actually sheds a tear because. His friend is dead. He feels it, and I think, whether or not we feel it with him or not, I think it's part of the, it's because of the pace of the movie.
I don't even think
it's
he was crying about his friend. It's just that idea that the world is
No, it's because they were all looking at like the guy dead on the floor, and then he turned around and he had like that.
But it's the way that girl said that it's coming after you. This thing is blah blah blah, and that's talking about everything in life. How it's just somehow. It's going to come after you until you're dead, whether it be the drugs, the guns, the aliens, the lifestyle. It's chasing after you until you die.
Yeah, we don't want you around.
And that's just that stress level, right? Where it's just like, just when you feel like everything is like hitting you,
Whoa, are you saying this movie isn't about an alien invasion? It's about inner city kids and their struggle.
Come on, Tom.
We talked about
I started with that.
Fucking 40 minutes.
I started with
that. Tom, shut off your mic.
Wait a second. Hold on a second.
Whoa, wait a second.
But no, I mean, yeah, that's what it is, right? I mean, that's all coming down on this one guy. He has to deal with all of this shit, and he goes above and beyond all of that. Like when, most people would probably jump out the fucking window at that point, right? Mm-hmm. Half their crew is dead. Mm-hmm. Their best girl is saying, "Best girl." What am I from 1950?
Peggy Sue and
his ex-girlfriend or whatever is saying that this is all because of you. You're bad news. These things, you just attract trouble.
Yeah, you attract trouble, exactly. And I love that part. You attract trouble. It's all coming, and then that just, makes them cry.
I love it, too. But what I love even more is that he takes all that in, and it makes him, a stronger person.
Go kill aliens?
And he goes and he kills fucking it.
I think right after that's the fucking when he goes in and slashes the thing with the samurai.
It's like Monster Squad, Goonies. Oh, I love it.
And I think that kills comical because it's almost too easy.
Yeah, you expect it's going to be a big build up, and then
he's got him.
I mean, I like the furriness of the creatures. I don't care for the glow in the dark jaws. Because for some reason, that's the only thing to me that seems really CG, are the glow-in-the-dark teeth.
I think those are practical.
Oh, no. Yeah, those are practical.
Those are not practical.
That's practical.
Yeah, they are. I watched.
It's not that hard to make glowing teeth.
You just said they did some puppets, some whatever. How are they all practical if they did some of everything?
The glow-in-the-dark teeth was practical, but the guys in suits were the aliens were actually there. They darkened them down in CG.
And they probably boosted the lights and the teeth.
The teeth. It looks like CG.
No, I think those were actually I'd have to go back and look at it. But from what I remember, those were actual practical lights.
Really?
In the mouth. Yeah, you can see them. Like when you see the thing walking around on
but when it roars at you, it's not CG? I mean...
that's an actual... That's an animatronic head.
Yeah.
So they had operators moving the mouth and all that stuff, but there was a guy galloping around.
Yeah, I get. Well, I should say this right now because I'm gonna say this in my wrap.
That's how I kind of feel about the monsters as well. They're it's a little cartoony, a little cheesy.
But isn't that intended? I think.
That's fine. And again, we just saw this movie a half hour ago, so I'm still processing it. But if it's intended, that's great. I'm sure that is exactly what they intended. Mm-hmm. This doesn't seem like a movie that would make a misstep like that.
Right, yeah.
So obviously that is what's intended, but...
That might be the only reason I don't own this movie is because I don't care for the monsters. They're just not impressive to me.
That's some of my favorite monsters. That's, wow.
Of recent, monster stuff or everything. Yeah, but everything now.
Like a monster.
Comparatively, in the bigger budget stuff, it's everything seems to be derived from the Patrick Tatopoulos school of, the Cloverfield. It's some kind of generation.
It's the insectoid. Well, ever since
he's
Alien,
the guy who's, been designing. Patrick Tatopoulos has been doing, when you look at,
Starship
Underworld.
Troopers.
He's all over the fucking place, and it's all of his shit looks the same. But this is kind of a refreshing, low tech.
But I think
for the most part, low tech monster design.
I think this design is specifically tailored for the whole idea that the first 40 minutes it's really just going to be dark shapes jumping around and blah 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 blah. I think they made it so in what's the word? Just no detail, just to give that kind of dark shadow without having any sort of
I also think it makes the monster seem like it would be easy enough for 15-year-olds to fight.
Yeah?
Like I think that design.
Because the furry really works on me. That's the part that really works on me is the furriness of it. Because you think bear, you think something like not that furry is nice to people.
Yeah,
right.
It's just that glow in the dark teeth. It just like I don't know. There's something about it that's just like that's a little too cartoony.
You think furry is
glow in the dark teeth?
Is furry black with
I do furry. It's got to be primal or something. It's got to be like primal in our human.
But also
big
when I
furry
think
in the
aliens,
dark is like stay away.
It's like, when I think aliens, I never think furry with aliens.
Yeah,
right.
Furry never comes up with aliens.
That's why I like this so much. It's because I'm like, fucking furry. I mean, that was the thing. It was like,
don't get glow in the dark teeth.
Didn't we just see critters on this podcast?
They don't have glow in the dark teeth.
Yeah, but weren't they fucking furry?
They were furry.
They were mean sons of bitches.
Yeah. Another movie that this movie owes a debt of a debt
Critters
to.
is the best.
Yeah.
Totally redeemed yourself.
So yeah.
All right, let's stay on for the next podcast. Good job.
Is that Attack the Block?
I think that's Attack the
Anybody
Block.
got anything else on Attack the Block?
No, bro.
Believe. Trust.
Oh shit, it's me.
That's
isn't
you.
It's you.
Final wrap up.
I feel like
Christ.
I feel like we barely scratched this movie, but
I know, right? We need some
what
wrap up
happens when we
music.
don't
Do you have
talk
anything
scene to
else
scene?
that you need to?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it doesn't feel. I think we've covered it from
any auxiliary characters.
Because we didn't really talk about Nick Frost, and he wasn't really that important.
No,
I mean he was funny.
I do have something, but it's like
Kids.
I kind of want to say it in my wrap up.
Let's save it for your wrap up.
Save it.
But then you'll revolt against it. You'll fight this.
Let's hear it then.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, we're so close.
Here we go.
Because this movie to me just seemed like a cheap sci-fi independent.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
What does that mean?
He said it was cheap.
Yeah, I know, but you say that like it's a bad thing.
It said it was. It just felt like
I'll
a cheap
show you cheap sci-fi film, my friend.
But why? What is it about? Okay, so
Travis just pulled out.
Just by saying
Charles
it's a
Banshee.
cheap sci-fi movie means somebody made it for an affordable amount of money.
It felt cheap.
Cheap in a bad way?
They could afford lights.
What do you mean by cheap? You describe what you mean by cheap.
This movie probably cost over $2 million. At least.
By filming in UK means it's cheap.
No.
By filming in
black people.
By using the practical special effects felt cheap. They were
effects are way more expensive than CGI, but go ahead.
God damn! Just wrap up. Come on.
Yeah, it just felt cheap when I'm sitting here watching Studio Canal and all these like independent things. I'm like,
What? I don't understand what your problem is with it. I mean, like it's.
What's your problem with independent film?
There's only 3 high-budget sci-fi films.
Isn't it awesome that they were able to pull off what they did for such a low amount of money? I mean, to me, it doesn't feel like they didn't have enough money to do what they wanted to do.
Good actors.
No, I think they did exactly what they wanted
that's
to
when
do.
I think a movie feels cheap, is when you thought that you were going to be able to pull off this big crowd scene, but like 30 guys showed up.
Right.
And you're like, oh, look at it, it's a big crowd. And you're like,
it's like 10
if
with
they
the cameras
had
over
more
here,
money,
change clothes, 10 over here.
right? So this movie is cheap. Otherwise, they would have been able to pull this off. That's when a movie feels cheap to me.
Yeah.
This felt like they had the money to make the movie that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
True or false?
Did
that come?
Ask the filmmakers.
Yeah, I think you're right. This movie it came out and it got the message that it needed to get across.
But
I feel like Tom is wrapping up before Brett.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right,
go Brett.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
no one's even listening anymore.
I'm just gonna rebuttal that with Tom. I made a point while watching the movie that I noticed specifically that this movie does not look cheap. This movie looks like it was on a tight budget and they did the best that I've maybe ever seen with the budget that they had. You know, I mean, the special effects in this film are on par with a Hollywood studio film. And obviously it wasn't that. You don't have any really big names.
That's why you got 5 logos at the beginning of it.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is a film made by passionate filmmakers about, what I found out tonight is an important subject to me, inner city London kids.
Oh my God. Bleeding heart fucking.
We'll have the Brent's charity tag at the end of this podcast.
Yeah, there'll be a website you can donate to. But that aside, Yeah, I think that this is also a great science fiction alien invasion film. I think it's a great action film. I think it's pretty hilarious, really. I mean, Sean, you were saying about, like the tone of the film, not knowing what you were supposed to be feeling or, like laughing or not, or like, is it serious? I feel like this is a serious invasion, like alien invasion with the drama of an inner city, what do I want to say? Dangerous Minds type of film. Also with like the comedic moments there when you need them, I mean, it is comedic relief when certain things happen. I mean, even the kid that's stuck in the dumpster for the most of the film, I mean, he shows up when you need him to be funny. The 9.5-year-olds show up when you need that level of comedy, but at the same time they're also serving a purpose to the greater goal of the film, which I think is to showing, which, I mean, I've stated it many times on this podcast, that these kids aren't given a chance, and they prove, Moses proves, Moses proves.
You just see what you want to see. That's the problem with all fucking liberal thinking. You just see what you want to see.
It's there.
Get past the hard facts, people's personal decisions. And you just,
it's there. Yep. If Moses is what he is in this film, he's given a chance to do the right thing, and he does it. And he does it like above and beyond.
Let's not hypothesize. Just.
I'm not.
No, but that's there.
It's there. It's for real.
Yeah.
And he saves.
But it's still just personal. It's not like for the good of all mankind. It's a personal thing.
But it's a metaphor.
It's like if you protect your house, you're not being brave. You're protecting your property.
Yeah. But even shitty people protect their property.
Yeah.
But
anyway.
When you put that in a movie, it's a metaphor for all of those kids. It is, because some kid's gonna watch that and he's gonna.
Just care about his own shit.
No,
great.
It may or may not. I mean, he'll identify with the thuggish aspect of it, but I mean, it might be, not saying that this movie's going to change lives, but that might be something that shows that if aliens attack, there's a way out.
Oh, you were going so well.
Yeah, I had
it. You buried it in the landing.
No, but yeah, I mean, I like it. I think that it does have a good point to it. I mean, you could even call it an after-school special, and that's in no way a criticism of the film. I mean, because it takes it to that next level. I mean, it's not like a Lifetime movie. It's like
he's making this movie sound preachy. It's like this movie's not preachy about any inner city kids, or it's like it's not sound.
I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder, the person that's watching it. Because I saw
liberal, so you're looking at all these all these poor little kids that are just like, oh man, they'll do anything just to get out.
Labels.
Do anything just to get out.
But it's called like Attack the Block, specifically. This portion of London here, this block of London. That
their own. You know how gangs have territory.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's the point of it. All right. Well, I liked it a lot, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen this movie, check it out. And yeah, that's it. Tom,
let's give it.
Oh boy!
Ooh. Wow.
Really
nice. I like that. That's how a fucking wrap up is done. God damn it. Sean.
All right.
I like that. No, I like that. We should all learn from Tom. Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Menu. All right, short and sweet. I need to think on it, and I need to watch it again. I liked a lot of aspects of this movie. I need to watch it again to I get it straight in my own mind, I guess, because there was themes competing in this movie for me. What it's supposed to be. I think apparently I'm the only one who was maybe confused on where this movie lays as far as genre goes. But yeah, I think I need to watch it again. Give it some time to ruminate in my mind. I definitely recommend it because I think it's a movie that warrants discussion, as you've heard here tonight. I mean, maybe not. Maybe we over discussed this movie. Maybe
because we're not even talking about the movie. We're talking about real life fucking.
We are, and I think
bullshit.
we got.
That's
I think
the problem.
I think we all. I think we all in this movie. I think we all definitely brought something of our own to the discussion. I will definitely say that. I did like it, and I want to watch it again. I recommend other people watch it as well. I think it's definitely a movie worth watching. Definitely not cheap. I think they did exactly what they wanted to do. Yeah, I recommend it. I'm gonna watch it again.
I recommend this movie, even though I can't even say I'm a huge fan of this movie. Like, I really can't. It's weird. It's very weird. I've never felt so like, no, I really like the movie. But at the same time, I don't feel like watching it. I don't feel like, I don't know. I'm lukewarm to the movie. I like what it's about. Maybe the inner city, like, bullshit is a little, like, weary of me. Like, you know, the whole, like, oh, you're a white nurse. Oh, you're my black neighbor. You know, let's get along. And, you know, maybe that's a little too much for me. I do like more of the social commentary on just like what the drug dealer does with that, instead of just like this is how a white chick thinks of a black youth. This is what a black youth thinks of a white chick. I like more of because it means more to me in the whole like idea of this type of environment. The idea that like other drug dealers that buy into the entertainment, that's what's perpetuating their bullshit. Not necessarily how other people think of them. It's how their own idea of what they think of their own living style perpetuates their fucking bullshit. Because, you know... And so I do like this movie. I do recommend the movie. I could totally use some better aliens, though. I'm one of those guys where I'm an alien freak. Cool idea about the pitch black aliens. Totally awesome. I just, in the end, I want to see some alien. I just want to see some effects. I just want to. That's not to say I don't think it looked cheap. I mean, it's just one of those things where there's some scenes where you're like, oh, that's a cheap scene. Like when it shows the window and just like, there's like the 20 pairs of teeth on the rim of the window. I'm like, what the fuck? How are all these aliens peering into the... I mean, they just kind of framed it a little cheaply. Not the movie cheap, but they just kind of framed it a little like, I guess that works. But, so yeah, I see it. Yeah, for sure, believe.
Trust. Yeah, I mean, I unabashedly love this movie. Ever since I first saw it, it's... I think we maybe got a little, heavy here tonight talking about it. And I don't want to ward you off, listener, from seeing it, because the experience of watching the movie isn't like this. I'm not saying that this doesn't exist in the movie. Obviously, it does. It's there. And I think that because of that, I mean, just the experience, again, of watching it with my wife was similar to what Tom took into it. It's like that was a barrier to seeing it as something like Tremors or Critters or Gremlins or Goonies, but it totally does have that vibe. The only problem is it deals with modern inner city kids as its heroes, so they're not the kind of innocent,
E.T. kids riding their bikes. It is
they are hardcore.
It's just like kids.
Yeah, but it does a successful job in my mind of humanizing them in a way that does make them kind of likable. Not necessarily lovable, but like at least you're like sitting there going like, oh, okay. I mean, that guy,
like lovable losers.
Yeah, in the right circumstances, he's not a bad kid. He's just he's on the path to being bad. But because he's at that age, it's like you haven't actually committed yourself. Like a couple more years later, and you're hi-hat and you're fucking lost, right? So, again, I'm talking about the heavy-handed stuff, that it's associated, the morality of the movie. It's an exciting, action-packed, a film that does not look cheap. It's got this awesome...
We all have to.
we have to chime in on that.
Well, specifically, it's got this color palette.
It does. The oranges and the blues.
Guillermo del Toro movie.
Yeah, it does. It has the blues of the lights.
The whole street is orange.
All match the color of the teeth of the aliens, and it's got this orange. I mean, it looks fantastic. I mean, it looks like it cost a lot more than it did, I thought. The alien effects, I thought, were, awesome. I haven't seen something like this. It's an original idea, kind of, even though we're saying that I'm acknowledging that it cribs from a fond remembrance of 80s films. I was going to say, like, oh, these people are going to go on to be big things. I mean, obviously, the dude's going to go on to
That's
be
cool. I'm excited
in Star
about
Wars.
That.
You know,
I'm really excited. I really like that actor. I think he's a great actor.
Yeah, I mean, he pulls off the anti-hero, I think, well. I mean, not knowing him, I totally believe it. I believe all of these kids are who they are playing.
Yeah.
I think, you know, the other thing that I think is important in these movies is, like I said, the character development. There's enough of it there that I see each one of them and can envision what their life is like around the events that actually happen in the movie, which is one of those, like, rare thing. It seems like it's a rare thing, you know, nowadays.
Well, if anything, they focus too much on personality and don't let you
Well, they have to do that because they don't have enough money to do big effect stuff. But, you know, that's the trade-off, and I'm happy to live with it. So, yeah, I mean, Attack the Block, I would say, you know, it's a sci-fi movie that if you have not seen it, you should definitely check it out. I think it's probably going to become, hopefully, a cult item, you know, in the years to come. And hopefully we're contributing to that right now. So that's Attack the Block on the Saturday Night Freak Show. And next week, we're going to be watching Travis's pick. And Travis is going to show us.
We're going to be watching Bullets Over Broadway, starring John Cusack and Jennifer Tilly. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Woody Allen.
Strikes
again.
Strikes again.
Takes place in the 30s.
Is Madonna in that movie?
No, fuck no.
What am I thinking?
What are you talking about? Dick Tracy?
No, some Woody Allen movie. Okay. Yeah.
Tracy. Mind if I call you Dick?
There you go. So next week, Bullets Over Broadway on the Saturday Night Freak Show. And like all Saturday Night Freak Show episodes, you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, Podbay FM, CastRoller, PlayerFM, and
all you
the
people
Saturday Night Freak Show.blogspot.com. So there's no way that you can avoid us. We're coming to take over your
block
space. Your block.
Your block.
Oh.
Coming to take over your block.
Oh, Nisbet.